right here, right now. And just allow the awareness to merge with your breath. Feel that power of attention. Feel that power of attention pulling in from being focused on the things in the world around that just keep moving. And pull that awareness into the breath. And allow that awareness to just become fully immersed in the breath. If anything else distracts you, just bring the awareness back to the breath. Don't try to change the breath or manipulate it. Don't label it. Good breath, bad breath. On the end of each exhalation, after you exhale and before you inhale again, just for a moment allow yourself to rest in that spaciousness. On the exhalations, we drop very deeply into the core of ourself, into the depth of ourself. And before we inhale straight again, just take a brief moment after each exhalation, at the end of the exhalation, and just allow yourself to be in that spaciousness. The next inhalation will happen automatically on its own as the body needs oxygen. But until it happens on its own, just allow yourself to be in that perfect spaciousness. The expanding stillness. The perfect wholeness of being. You're not holding the breath. It's not a pranayama exercise. You're just allowing yourself after the exhalation to realize that you don't need to inhale immediately right away. You can just drop into that spaciousness. Into that stillness. Into the melting and merging with all of existence. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them against each other. And press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome. Welcome to Satsang. So beautiful as always to be with you all. So starting with our first question that comes from our audience that connects online from across the world. And then we'll open it up to any question that anyone here has. I've done so much sadhana to realize the self, but I'm still suffering. I've done so much sadhana to realize the self, but I'm still suffering. So here's the thing about sadhana. Here's the thing about meditation, about yoga, about mantra chanting, about all of that which we do in sadhana. If we grew up with parents who they didn't have to be necessarily fully enlightened, both of them, but if they were really deep on a spiritual path, if they were really aware, grounded, anchored, awakened on a spiritual level, and they were really clear in their own minds, in their own hearts, in their own lives, not to project any of their stuff onto us. And if we grew up in a relatively spiritually healthy community and world where we weren't judged based on how much we weighed or the color of our skin or what kind of grades we got in school, if we were raised in a world in which we were valued and seen just for who we are, if you come from that type of background, in most cases, sadhana could be enough. If on top of that you never had any kind of trauma or great challenge or early childhood loss or struggle, or sadhana could be enough. Meditation could be enough. But if that's not the family of origin you came from, if that's not the community you came from, if you came from a situation in which your parents were somewhat less enlightened, very well-intentioned, beautiful hearts, meaning well, but still struggling with their own stuff, young, confused, in the midst of their own self-discovery. If you ever were made to feel by a parent, a teacher, your culture, your community, that you were somehow better or worse based on what you looked like, based on what your grades were, that there was something you had to conform to in order to be worthy of love and approval. And certainly if you ever had any kind of childhood trauma, challenge, absentee of love, of connection, of support, sadly, sadhana's in most cases not enough. That's where we also need some kind of psychological work as well. The two of them actually go together very well. Psychological work in and of itself is not enough. It's very good at taking us into our darkness. It shows us, oh yeah, that's why I feel like this. Oh yeah, now I remember the first time that I ever felt like I would be more worthy if I just looked like that. Or more worthy if I were smarter, or more worthy if I were different. Psychology takes us into that. Oh yeah, now I remember how I felt when my mom did this or my dad did that. Psychology shows us that. And it's very powerful, it's wonderful when we have no idea why we're struggling the way we are. And it helps us in many ways kind of come to an awareness of, a deep awareness of why we are the way we are, how we were programmed the way we've been programmed, why we have false self-perceptions the way we have false self-perceptions. But it doesn't know how to get us from the darkness back to the light. And I remember before I had found spirituality, or rather before spirituality had found me, when I was a psychology PhD student. I had graduated undergrad in psychology, was doing my PhD, but I was also on the receiving end of a lot of psychology on a personal level. So I was on the academic side, the giving side, the administering of it to other people's side, and on the receiving side. And I remember saying, you know, I could write a book about why I feel the way I do, why I struggle the way I do. But that doesn't make me stop struggling. I could tell you every little tiny bit of why I have the fears I have, why I have the neuroses I have, why I have the issues I have. But that doesn't make them go away. It just makes me an expert on them. And I remember saying this, like, you've taken us into the darkness. I get it. I've seen it. I know it. I could give you a lecture on it. I could write you a book on it. Now, is anybody able to get me out of it? And psychology doesn't really know what to do with that. There are some cases in which insight itself is enough. You have insight and boom, like, you're better. But there's a lot of cases where insight itself is not enough. And this is where spirituality picks up what psychology can't do. And it's actually spirituality that brings us out of the darkness into the light, showing us, okay, you've seen that, but that isn't actually who you are. Who you are is this. Let us give you an experience of actually who you are. Through meditation, through prayer, through chanting, through service, through bhakti. But if you only do the meditation or the sadhana, and you've actually got some stuff to work out, some neuroses issues, some fears, some identity issues, some anything that we took in when we were young, it's unlikely, not impossible, not unheard of, but it's unlikely that you can meditate them away. And this is where embarking on a psychological path along with spiritual path is so beautiful. And it's where those who are experts in that, there's a beautiful teacher named Jack Kornfield, who's a very renowned Buddhist meditation teacher and also just a brilliant, brilliant teacher and author on kind of where spirituality and psychology intersect. And he always says, if you think you're enlightened, go and spend 2 weeks with your parents. It's going to show you. It's not just about humbling you. It's going to show you exactly where you've got work to do. It's going to show you exactly where you're triggered. Exactly what comes up for you. Yes, we have these deep, deep experiences in meditation, and then we have to also work through it in relationship. The point of the deep meditative experiences is not that I should then have to live in a cave in the mountains forever. Ultimately, we should be able to move through whatever world we want to move through. If you want to live in a cave in the mountains forever, God bless you. Beautiful. But if you don't, if you actually feel like your dharma is different, that your purpose is different, that you're being called in different places, well, then you need to know how to interact in relationship, in community, without being triggered. And that's where psychology comes in. So, as our beloved family member says that she's still suffering, I would recommend, if after all the sadhana you're still suffering, embark on a short course of some psychology, some personal depth, awareness, understanding, kind of self-inquiry path with a psychologist, a therapist, a coach, somebody who can help you really go deep. What is the root of that suffering? And then once you've looked at that and healed that, you'll be able to come back into the sadhana much stronger. Otherwise, a lot of us are like leaky buckets. We do all the meditation, we have all the beautiful experiences, we have these divine, very real, very powerful experiences of the self. But our container is leaky. And so for a while it feels great, and then slowly, slowly you notice that, oh my God, my container is empty. How did that happen? Because it's leaky. The holes in the bucket are the holes of our personal psychological stuff. And that's why if we want to be really full and whole and healthy on every level, we work both ways. Because there's no point having a perfect bucket if there's nothing that's filling it. So the psychology by itself is going to fix your bucket, but then what? Then all you've got is an empty bucket. The spirituality is that which flows in and fills it. But you want to make sure those holes are filled up. So I'm always a very strong proponent of both of them together. And we shouldn't feel like failures on any level if you can't meditate away your problems. Because that's not what meditation is for. Meditation is for recognizing the soul. And on the level of the soul, there are no problems. So you're essentially asking something of meditation that is not what it is for. Meditation is that which shows us the part of us, the truth of us, the aspect of us, which isn't the personality, which isn't the psyche, which isn't the ego, which isn't the one who had the childhood we had or the experiences we've had. The soul is just soul. Unbroken, undivided, divine, never born, never dies, untouchable, eternal, unshakable. But then here we are having this very human experience. And having the experience of soul is exquisite and beautiful, and it's why we're here to remember that. But if you're having issues on the very human interaction level, it's not the role of the meditation to fix it. It's the role of working with the humanity. Great. Other questions? Yes.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Do you have concrete practical tools to help us make peace with our bodies?
Practical tools to make peace with our bodies. The very first thing is we have to stop the war. Before you can really work for the peace, you've got to actually stop the fighting. The fighting, the struggle that so many of us have with our bodies, their sizes, their shapes, comes from one of two places. Either it comes, and they intersect as well, but place number one is just marketing. Advertisements that show people who look a certain way and therefore make us feel like we should look a certain way. I remember, I'm old enough to remember when airbrushing came in, then Photoshop came in. Now God knows what kind of filters and things are being used online so that people don't actually look like they look. But we're being told this is what beauty is. And when we try to live up to that and we feel like we fail, we hate ourselves. And so then we engage in warfare against our own bodies. Restriction, hatred, denigration, all of that. All of the different ways that we harm ourselves. The other way that feeling about the body comes, so one is this externally imposed, you should look different, you're not worthy unless, you're not beautiful unless. Another is a way that comes from within, in which the body becomes the only thing that we can control. And this is what you see a lot when you're dealing with much more severe aspects of eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, in which when the world outside feels uncontrollable, when we feel like we're not able to properly control the people around us, the world around us, that which is happening to us from around us, controlling our body becomes the way that we grab some control over our lives. And so it typically becomes a lot of restriction around food or excess around exercise or whatever it is. But it's a way of trying to gain control within. It becomes a way of self-protection. That I'm going to somehow protect myself from the chaos and the unpredictability outside by at least controlling that which goes in. If it's that one, typically a lot of really deep and powerful psychological work to heal that sense of being so out of control in our lives is really important. To heal that sense that we feel like there isn't something else we can hold on to. And there's a whole bunch of other, that's not the only one, there's a whole bunch of other very, very deep psychological reasons for the severe eating disorders. But in terms of the self-hatred of the body that most of us have, that doesn't necessarily get to the level of that severe eating disorder that most people just have it because we live in society and culture tells us you should look like this, weigh this much, have the body be like this. The best first step is to literally just refuse to see, to whatever extent possible, that type of marketing, that type of advertising, to stop following those pages, to stop clicking on things, to stop reading those magazines, to stop filling your consciousness with those images. So we stop at least the metaphoric missiles that are coming in and telling us with every page that we turn in the magazine, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're not this. But then we turn to the level of really making peace with the body itself. The body's a temple. In Hindi we say, Sharir ek mandir hai. It's literally a temple. And I have found on a personal level, as someone who has struggled, by God's grace, not for the last 27 years, but in the first 25 years of my life, struggled greatly with issues of body image, with a severe eating disorder. And what I found in spirituality was, well, two things. Number one, a very, very deep awareness that you are not that body to begin with. And I guess that's the deepest and most powerful level, is the awareness that whatever it weighs, whatever it looks like, whatever its size is, it's actually not who you are. And so that breaking of the association of me from this thing is very powerful. It's not who you are. Your body's changed 1,000,000 times since you took birth. But that sense of I stays constant. Gain 20 pounds, lose 20 pounds, it's still I. Even get an arm amputated, get a leg amputated, it's still I. Tragically, become a quadriplegic, lose the use of all your limbs. It's still I. There's nothing that we can do to the body to change an internal experience of I, which makes us know we're not the body. We're not the body. So that's the deepest level, is truly the awareness there is this thing, but it isn't me. And a spiritual practice that gets you in touch with who I actually am, through meditation, through introspection, through yoga, through a practice of Gyan Yoga, wisdom, self-inquiry into who am I, reading books, listening to talks about who are you really, getting a sense of who you really are, other than what our own minds and our culture tell us we are, which is just what you look like and how much money you make. A practice of bhakti yoga, a path of devotion. And it doesn't matter what your religion might be, completely irrelevant. But an experience of loving the divine. And you may connect with the divine through God. You may connect with the divine through a tree or through a sunset. It doesn't matter. but an experience of loving and being loved by a perfect universe of which you are part. And just dropping into an experience of that perfection. So that's kind of the deepest level. But on a day-to-day level, in terms of day-to-day tools, a gratitude practice for the body. Every day when you wake up, thank God my eyes open. I mean, literally, probably, the first words out of my mouth in my mind every morning are, thank you so much, God, for this incredible body. Like, and I do this literally with my hands, like, thank you. Oh my God, look, we're all still here. Right? I mean, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee you're going to go to sleep and it's all going to be there in the morning. But look at this. Oh my God, we went to sleep and we're still here. Everything's here. Nothing hurts. Haven't lost sensation anywhere. Thank you. Thank you for these eyes that are now open. Thank you for these legs that are about to take me into the bathroom. Thank you for this beautiful digestion that has digested my dinner so I can now have breakfast. Thank you for these lungs that kept breathing all night even though I totally lost my awareness of it. Thanks for not depending on me for that. And you just practice this gratitude for the body. With your hands, literally. Like, it's not about what does it look like in the mirror. It's about, oh my God, this incredible thing. It works. I think, like, raise my arm raises. I mean, amazing. There's nothing else in the world like that. I can tell the cup, okay, it's not going to do it. No matter how much I tell that cup, okay, rise up. It's not going to do it. I can say to you, rise up. But until and unless you actually want to do what I'm saying, I can't make you rise up. Can't make you stand. But I say to my arm, rise up. I mean, look at how that works. I mean, it's really so great. And you start to just see the body with brand new eyes. Brand new eyes, like, wow, look at how this thing works. And isn't that beautiful? And so just start a practice of gratitude for your body. In the morning, in the night, like, thank you so much. I know you were so tired today. But look at that, you made it through the whole day. Whole day, you didn't collapse once. Good job, like, look at that. You supported me all day long. My neck didn't fall off my head, or my head didn't fall off the neck. Right? I mean, it takes actually a lot of muscle. It's not easy. All of our bodies are actually using a lot of muscle and coordination and energy to just sit here. To just keep ourselves like this. So just at the end of the day, thank it. Thank you so much for helping me get through this day. And when there are times that it's tired or whatever, I find myself just literally just like, hey, it's all right. It's almost bedtime. There are many, many evenings I'll have something else going on in the night and half the body's like, oh, really? Like, can't I just go to bed? And I'll find myself going, it's all right. It's all right. It's almost bedtime. Almost bedtime. Almost bedtime. Just develop this relationship with your body as this divine entirety that works so beautifully, that has nothing to do with what it looks like. It has nothing to do with the shape or the size or the width or the height. But it's this miraculous creation. Everything else in nature we're able to look at and appreciate different sizes. Like the tree is exquisite. All right, this one's a little wider than that one, and so what? I mean, would you ever say, oh, I like that tree more because it's a little bit wider, that one's a little less wide, I like it less, or vice versa? That one's a little taller, I like it more, it's better. We'd never say that. We look at it and we understand the perfection and the exquisiteness of the creation. You'd never look at a flower and say, that petal's a little too fat. And who could even imagine? Boy, that orange is too round. The orange should look more like a banana, right? I mean, could you imagine? I only like bananas because they're thin. I don't like oranges because they're round and fat. It would be insanity. We're able to look at and appreciate and love and savor all of the beautiful diversity in nature. Never expecting it to change shape or wishing it would change shape. And so just try to change the way you view this body from some reflection of my worth on planet Earth to this extraordinary, incredible, uncreatable. The best scientists in the world, they can put you on Mars, they can put you on the moon, they can do anything to you. They cannot create a human body. They can't create a mosquito, forget a human body. We are yet to be able to manufacture a living mosquito in a lab. After all these years, all of these advances, we have ChatGPT that can do everything for us. Space shuttles that can go everywhere. But we cannot create life. So start to just see this body as a reflection of that exquisite and amazing and extraordinary gift you have been given as a vehicle. Yeah, some vehicles look different. Look at the cars on the freeway, they're all different. But at the end of the day, what matters is, does your car get you where you need to go? Is it actually working? That matters much more than what it looks like. Does it work? And so just marvel at the exquisiteness with which this body works. Yes. Other questions? Yeah.
Namaste Mataji. You told me us that body is a temple.
I'm so sorry, I cannot hear you.
You told that body is a temple. Then who is the Lord?
We've learned that body is a temple. What is?
Then who is the Lord inside?
Where is God? Beautiful. So if the body is a temple, then where is God? Where is God not? Where is God not? There's no place God is not. The body is a temple. The divine lives within us. But we also worship the creation. We worship the creation. In all of our sacred pujas, our rites, our rituals, we offer the 5 elements. Any puja you'll see, there's always fire, there's always water, there's always some symbol of the earth, a flower, rice. There's air and there's ether, so we do wind, we have incense. We offer those elements to remind us that they are divine, right? Jal Devta, Agni Dev. God is even in the water, as the water. It's all about our eyes and our ability to see. In our physical bodies, it's usually a lot easier to experience the divine in our hearts than in our elbows. We're able to feel that presence a lot more in our hearts. But God is everywhere. There's actually nothing but God. The core of Advaita Vedanta, this beautiful school of philosophy, is there's literally nothing but God. Now, it's not the only school of philosophy, and there's traditions that are what we call the dualist traditions, the traditions of bhakti, in which we worship the divine as separate from us, so that we can have the pleasure and the joy of actually loving God. Because it's very hard to love an infinite reality that is who you are as well. It's a lot easier to sing and to pray and to love the divine if we can conceive of and picture and worship the divine as somehow separate from us. But even the most devoted devotees, the most devoted bhakts, on some level they know, I'm one with God. Their ecstasy is only possible in the experience of that oneness. You don't attain that level of ecstasy in separation from God. You only attain it in oneness with God. So God is everywhere. In us, as us, easiest to feel in our hearts, but otherwise everywhere. God is all around us. God is everything. But we say the body is a temple to remind us that God lives within us. It's not the only temple. It's not that God doesn't live somewhere else. But otherwise, we tend not to take very good care of our bodies. We tend to desecrate our bodies. We tend to live in a very kind of objectified way. We think of ourselves as objects. I just need more and more and more possessions, pleasure, things, whatever. We then think of others as objects, either someone I need to use to get ahead or someone I need to move out of my way. And so we say Sharirdak Mandirde to remind us, hey, you're not an object, you're a temple. The divine lives in you. But in addition to living in me, God is everywhere. Beautiful. Other questions? Yeah. Namaste.
So my question is that when you leave your native country and you migrate to a different continent with your loved one to support his decision, but at the same time you feel that you left your identity in your native, you are struggling to find your work, you are struggling with fear, what will happen next. So how will you survive with that change?
So, when you move across countries and continents for your loved one, and you leave behind everything you know, everyone you know, and now you're struggling to find that identity in the midst of fear of what's going to happen. So it's very hard, it's very difficult. And this is where it's most important to remember and realize that who you are exists within, and you take yourself with you. That you are not your relationships. So back in your country of origin, in your city of origin, you had so many relationships, friends and family members and extended family members and neighbors and acquaintances. Now you don't have anybody but that loved one. But remember, who you are is not those relationships. Who you are has come with you. Your identity is the same. Your identity is not based on those relationships. A lot of us misunderstand who we are based on our relationships. It's the primary source of this false identification, the ego identification, that makes us think, oh, I am this relationship, or I am this job, or I am this. Everybody knows me. I was this, I was that, I was homecoming queen, I was whatever it might be. Now you leave that, no, nobody knows I was homecoming queen. Nobody knows I was this, nobody knows I was that. Think of it as actually a really beautiful opportunity to essentially start again. Without all of those relationships and roles and expectations that everybody had of who they thought you were. Use this as a beautiful opportunity to now create new friendships, new relationships, based on who you really are. What do you want to share with people? What do you want to project into the world? How do you want to be seen, thought of, understood, remembered? Now you have this opportunity. A brand new slate. All these people who don't know you. So now you get to decide, how am I going to be in the world? And that's a very beautiful opportunity. Because one of the things a lot of us struggle with as we change, as we grow spiritually, is that all of those who have known us for a long time, they don't see the change. They keep treating us like we were the same person. And we keep saying, but I've changed, I'm not. But they cannot see it. And it's very frustrating. You have a beautiful opportunity where there is no one who knows you how you used to be. You get to start over. So ask yourself, really, who's the truest expression of myself? And how can I share that with people? And it's a beautiful opportunity to share your love. Make connections with people. New connections. I'm not saying it's easy. But the point is, here you are. Or there you are, whichever is the new one. And you can't rewind history. So there you are. And assuming that this loved one you went with is the one you want to be with, well, there's your place. So the question is, how do you make that home? It's like that beautiful saying, right? Home is where the heart is. Bring your heart and create a home. And then that home will expand and it will start to include others, and slowly it'll become like a magnet of love. And your community will grow. And your friends will grow. It's a temporary period where you feel so alone. And I know it's not easy. But it's the time that just requires some grit, some just strength to push through it. And know that you've got this beautiful opportunity of co-creating a whole new life. And then, of course, you get to come back and visit the old life, so you get both. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
your efforts to get it removed permanently from your life. And then you can form a new formation in a life to live happily.
We will start with that question tomorrow. Okay? Are you going to be with us tomorrow? Good. So we will take your question first tomorrow so that we can really dive into it fully and completely, okay? 'Cause I don't want to do it in just a short way, okay? So we'll start with it. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. A beautiful day to our family joining us online from around the world. And I look so forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And so much love.